Good morning. It's Easter Sunday. We're going to talk about the empty tomb. But first, I want you to go back and remember what Miss Tanya told us. Remember the triumphal entry to Jerusalem, that Jesus rode on a donkey and that everybody put palm leaves down in front of the donkey as it was walking through the city of Jerusalem, entering. Remember, you can think of parades that we've had, and parades of birthdays and different things like that. This was much like that. It was a big, huge, wonderful entry, and people were singing and shouting, Hosanna! They were so excited to see Jesus and just singing and being happy. And then we talked about with Miss Tanya and Miss Linda Smith about the Passover, the Last Supper. He ate that with his disciples. And at that dinner, he told them that one was going to deny him and one was going to betray him. But all those disciples were his friends, and they could not understand that. They could not believe that that was going to happen. After the Passover, they went into the Garden of Gethsemane, and he prayed. He prayed so long and so hard that his disciples fell asleep. He would come back to check on them and go back and pray. When he was done praying, he prayed there. While he was there, he was praying and asking God if what he knew was coming, if that was the only way that it could be done. And God answered him with a yes. So he got up and went and got his disciples, woke them up and said, "Come on." And when he got them all up, they heard noise. They heard something. So they listened, and the soldiers were coming, that his disciple Judas had betrayed him for coins. How sad. Can you imagine getting a toy to say something for somebody, to betray somebody? He wanted the coins, and he got silver instead of Jesus. When he figured out what he had done, he lost himself in the crowd. He was sad. But while the soldiers were there, they asked Jesus, they said, "We are looking for Jesus of Nazareth." And he said, "I am Jesus of Nazareth." And Peter was so ready to be on Jesus' side that he took his sword and he cut off one of the soldiers' ears. And Jesus was like, "No, no, put your sword away." And he picked up the ear off the ground and he placed it back in place. And he went with them. Now they put Jesus on trial. They took him to judges and Pilate and just said he was a perfect. He had done nothing wrong, and they couldn't find anything wrong. But the people so badly wanted him to be crucified. They were scared. They didn't understand, and so they were just screaming for him to be crucified. And crucified is on the cross. Today we have crosses that we hang on our wall. We have crosses that we wear on our necklaces. We have all different kinds of crosses, but this cross was a cross that meant death. It was a cross made out of a tree. It was really big and really heavy. And so they decided that that's what they were going to do. Pilate said, I'm not going to be a part of it. He washed his hands of it, but they crucified him. It was not a pretty sight. They nailed him to this cross with big old nails in his hands and his feet. And they put a crown of thorns on his head because they were making fun of him. They said, "You said you're the king of the Jews? Here, we'll make you a crown." They gambled at the bottom of the cross. They for his clothes. It was not a befitting death for our king. But the best thing about that is that he decided to give it. He said, "I am finished." And when he was finished, he died. Then Joseph of Arimathea asked for his body. They took his body and I've got it stuck in the crown. He put gauze-like material all around him with spices so that would help Jesus' body as it laid in the grave. Now, the grave for Jesus looks different than ours. It's like a cave. It has a place where you lay the body, has a big old huge stone, bigger than your front door, that goes across the front of the cave. And he got him all prepared, put him in there, rolled the stone in front. But the Romans were really worried that he was going to be taken or stolen by his friends, that his body would be, because Jesus had said, "I will rise again in 3 days." So to make sure that nobody bothered that body, they put soldiers in front of the tomb, in front of that big old rock, so that it could be guarded. Well, you know how sometimes we have to go and visit a grave for whatever reason? Sometimes we put flowers on it. Sometimes we go to big memorials, like the Lincoln Memorial that memorializes Abraham Lincoln. Well, that's what Mary of Magdalene wanted to do. She wanted to go to the tomb where Jesus was. So she went to the tomb on the first day of the week. And I want to read you her story. We're going to read out of John chapter 20. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary of Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one that Jesus loved, and said, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they've put him." Peter and the other disciple started running towards the tomb. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked in the strips of linen laying there, but he didn't go in. Then Simon Peter, who was behind him, arrived and went into the tomb. He saw the strips of linen laying there, as well as the burial cloth that had been around Jesus' head. The cloth had been folded up in itself and separate from the linen. Finally, the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also went inside. He saw and he believed. The disciples went back to their homes, but Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw that there were 2 angels in white seated there with Jesus' body where it had been, one at the head and one at the foot. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" "They have taken my Lord away," she said. "I do not know where they have put him." At this she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not recognize him. "Woman," he said, "why are you crying? Who are you looking for?" Thinking he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him. I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned toward him and cried, "Rabbi," which meant teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet returned to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am returning to my Father and your Father, my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them all the things he had said. Is that not the most exciting news? Is it not awesome to know that we are serving a risen God? I want you to celebrate with your family today that we have a Savior that would die and rise again for us. So have your parents go to the website and download all the fun things there for you to do. There's activities for your whole family to do, and there's worksheets and crosswords and dot-to-dots for you to do. So just have the best Easter yet ever and enjoy your family. I love you. Bye.